200. Our global rule set brought to you by Roman, the digital health clinic for men. The bout will be judged in its entirety. No spiking or throws on the head, neck or spine. To give in to Eddie Alvarez and Iuri Lapicus. Nobody expects this one to go the distance. Here you have two consummate finishers. Lapicus, who has gotten it done in the first round almost every time, 10 of those inside of 2 minutes. Alvarez, no slouch when it comes to finishing opponents quickly. Here's the elder statesman, here's the veteran, Eddie Alvarez. How does he handle the juggernaut style of Iuri Lapicus? Lapicus coming into unfamiliar territory for the first time ever off a loss in his world title bid against Christian Lee last time out. Big overhand right there from Iuri Lapicus. We're joined once again by the Dragon, Mitch Jilson.
Good head movement so far by Eddie Alvarez. He's got to keep that head moving. Iuri Lapicus has incredible straight punches. He has to be very careful at keeping his head off of that center line and mixing up the punches into the takedowns, because that's what Eddie does best, is mixing things up.
Shoots in for an early takedown, does Eddie Alvarez. Can he get Lapicus down? Lapicus posting on that left arm. Eddie working for it.
Eddie's got incredible topside jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu game, once he gets on top, is second to none. He's also a high-level wrestler as well. Look at the way he has those legs triangled. Now he's going to slowly try to soften his way back up and work his way into mount.
Oh, big hammer fist strike there from Alvarez.
Back of the head, let's go.
Wow, referee saying that Eddie had struck Lapicus on the back of the head.
Okay, so the rule here on the back of the head is, as long as Eddie is making contact with the ear, then it's not considered the back of the head. And that's, you could hear Eddie yelling that at the referee, that he said, no, this is the back of the ear, the back of the ear.
Take us through it here, Rich.
Well, you can see Iuri has actually turned his head here, and this was strategically a very smart thing to do by Iuri, to turn his head, because he knew that he had no defense there. It looked like the last punch that Eddie threw hit the back of the head.
So some controversy in the opening round here. Eddie Alvarez disappointed, believing that his strikes were legal on Iuri Lapicus. Referee had other thoughts on that. Let's take a look at the replay again here, Dragon.
Yeah, you can see that his ear is tucked into the side of the face of Eddie's head right there, and those shots are landing.
Until Iuri actually turned his head, I don't think that those initial shots...
Really? You could see his ear positioned right up against the side of Eddie's face. Yeah, some of those shots looked like they were to the back of the head,
okay,
Rich.
Let me just say this. It didn't look like Eddie was purposely targeting the back of the head initially, but
100%.
Once Iuri really turned his head in there for those last 2 or 3 shots, he should have known better and stopped those punches.
So some debate here at the commentary position between Rich Franklin and Mitch Jilson. What did you think, folks? Were they illegal strikes to the back of the head of Iuri Lapicus, or were they fine from Eddie Alvarez? You see Eddie still saying, I caught him on the ear. It's perfectly legal.
Every single one of those shots needs to touch the ear of your opponent. You cannot hit the back of the head. So anything that does not hit the ear is the back of the head. And I think at least 2 of those, Rich.
100%, at least 2 of those. It was probably the last 3. What I'm saying is
all that matters is 1.
100%.
1 matters.
But you keep in mind, it's the intent of the athlete, right? Because if I'm throwing a punch and you're turning your head as I throw the punch.
And they turn, so what does that mean?
Well, that means on the initial punch, when I throw an initial punch to the back, to your head, if you turn and I catch the back of your head, you're at fault there. If I follow up with a second punch and it hits you in the back of the head, I'm now at fault.
So intent, that's the deciding factor.
Well, that's part of the deciding factor. But the intent is, so if I'm going to throw a punch, look here, come here, Michael. Okay. If I go to throw a punch on Michael, and as I'm throwing the punch, Michael turns his head, and I happen to connect, that's not necessarily a foul. I'll get warned for it. If I follow up and his head is still turned, this is the foul, right? Now, if you look at the punches from those first couple punches he threw, maybe they were connecting the air, maybe not. But when Iuri turned the head in tight, that as he turned the head in tight, if that initial punch landed to the back of the head, the referee at that point in time should have said, hey, do not touch the back of the head. Once Eddie followed up the second time, and I believe the third time, those were definitely, oh, wow.
Right there.
Card, Rich, what does it mean for Eddie Alvarez?
This is a disqualification.
Wow.
The match is over.
Wow. Eddie Alvarez has been disqualified. Wow. Rich, I've got to ask the question, deserving of a red card and not a yellow first?
Well, I mean, it depends. I don't know if you know, looking down at the circle here, Iuri's not able to continue.
Here we go again, Mitch, from this angle, a bird's eye view.
Yeah, you can't really see from this angle. His head is covering the position. So it's the intent. Was Iuri Lapicus avoiding the shot by turning his head, or was his head already back and then he was hitting the back of the head? There's one, and these are landing, it looks like to the neck and the head, and then he turns even more.
Just consider this, that the back of the head extends all the way from the crown down to the spine. So even though the neck is not part of the hitting in the back of the head, it is an illegal target all the way down that spine. So if I've turned my head and I'm exposed and you're hitting me in the neck and the back, in the spinal cord, that is still an illegal target.
But that said, at what stage do you caution a guy against turning his head as a form of defense?
Yeah, I don't know. This is just a note on this, because this is a red card. It's a disqualification. It's a no contest because we haven't gone far enough into the match to award scores to either of the athletes.
So there you have it. Some controversy here in Singapore, and our first match on TNT. Eddie Alvarez disqualified against Iuri Lapicus in the very first round. We'll be back with more. Eddie, I'd like to ask you straight up, you thought those punches that the referee determined were illegal were perfectly fine. Don't know if Eddie's hearing me there. Eddie, have you got me there? All right, so we'll wait to hear from Eddie Alvarez. And once again, folks, Eddie has been disqualified in the opening round. Controversially against Iuri Lapicus, there was some debate in the commentary position between Mitch Chilson and Rich Franklin as to were they illegal blows, were they not illegal blows to the back of the head? And you guys still haven't settled this argument.
No, we've agreed on the fact that they were illegal blows for sure. It was just a matter of how many at the end.
But it matters about intent, and that's the discrepancy between what we're talking about. It's not that there were blows landed, is that was the intent of those shots deliberate, or was he turning away to avoid it? And as he was throwing the punch and he turned, is that when the shot connected to the back of the head?
I believe we're going to find out from Eddie in a moment that they weren't deliberate with malintentions from Eddie Alvarez, who is a veteran, who is a decorated multi-time world champion. But we'll find out in a moment when we go back down to Eddie exactly what happened, because once again he has been red carded, disqualified. Does he also lose his purse on that, Rich?
Not the full purse.
Okay, but there is a purse deduction also for Eddie Alvarez. So let's go down to Eddie again now. Eddie, now you can hear me fine. And once again, Eddie, you shook your head when the referee dove in there and stopped the match because you thought those blows were perfectly legal. Is that right?
Yeah, Iuri was turning his head the other way, and the referee warned me. He said to me, back of the head, Eddie, so you see me take my head and I start shoving his head toward my punch. You'll see it in the tape. When the ref warns me, I take my own head and I push Iuri's to the side of the punch that was coming. On top of that, I felt like as long as it's the ear, as long as I'm hitting the ear at some point, that it's legal. Look, you guys put me in a cage. I don't know what the referee's here. Whatever call he makes, that's the call. I apologize. I hope Iuri is totally fine, because this game is so dangerous, and all I care about is that everybody in here sincerely is safe and can go home to their family when they're done. So I'm praying for Iuri right now, and I hope he's fine. But you put me in a cage, and I don't know what to do in here. I'm trying to survive. So The ref calls his call, and I gotta respect it. But I'm doing my best in here, and my prayers go out to Iuri right now.
Hey, Eddie, this is Rich Franklin. Nobody up here in the booth is questioning your intent or anything like that, or that you did anything maliciously. But I just got to ask you, this is our opening show on TNT in the United States, and you had spoken previously about how proud you were to bring this show to the U.S. And what are your thoughts now, just given the disqualification ending of this match, and any message you have to the American fans?
I apologize. Honestly, I keep thinking about Iuri in the stretcher because I've been on that side before, and it's kind of messing me up. So I just want to know that Iuri's fine, and then we can all go home. That's it. That's all. American fans, this is what we promised. They put two guys in a steel cage. I mean, what do you want? The ref's here to do it, and he did his best job. So the call's the call.
Well, some emotional scenes there from Eddie Alvarez, feeling very strongly, and he's praying for the health of Iuri Lapicus. Thank you very much, Eddie Alvarez. I'm sure, Eddie, we'll see you again soon. Thank you, Eddie Alvarez. Well, there you go, folks. Controversy abounding in our opening match here on TNT, but that means coming up next, it's going to be the one we've all been waiting for. As the greatest of all time, Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson will step inside the circle to try and cement his legacy. Meanwhile, the lightweight rankings have not shifted after tonight.